welcome to day 2 of the Scrappy Tails Home is Where Mom Is Sneak Week. So in today's video, I'm going to be using the A7 pop-up box. I'm also going to be using a few new die sets from the release. This one that I'm pulling here is called Motherly Circle Sentiments, and as the name suggests, they are Mother's Day themed sentiments inside the shape of a circle. So they are 2 1/4. So they're a nice size, and you get Happy Mother's Day and I Love You, Mom. I hand lettered these sentiments. I think they turned out really nice. And then the next set I'm going to be using is called Sitting Butterflies, and these were designed by my grandma, who is super talented, and she created these gorgeous lifelike butterflies. And this set does include the shadow layers for behind your butterflies. And here's what they look like cut out. I like that one is facing the right and one is facing the left. Okay, and then the last set I'm going to be using is called Layering Daisies. You guys really liked the outline roses and the outline tulips. So I wanted to create a daisy set that was a little bit more whimsical in style. And these are just really cute daisies, and you get so many in the die set. And I actually left them all in one die and cut them from white cardstock and was left with tons of daisies. So for my first card, I want to do some embossing. So I have a Cuttlebug embossing folder that I'm going to run through with some white cardstock cut to 5 by 5 inches. This is a large embossing folder, so I was able to do it in one go. You can see I also cut a gold frame using my square dies. I wanted to conserve as much gold mirror paper as I could, so instead of doing a gold mat, I went with a gold frame. And here you can see I am layering 3 layers of the Happy Mother's Day circle with white cardstock. And then for my final layer, I will add a gold cutout for some dimension. I love doing this with my word dies. And if I had vellum, I would back this circle with vellum, but it clearly does stand out against the white, but I think the vellum would have just added a nice bit of elegance to the card. So I'm going to go ahead and use the smaller of the 2 butterflies, and this one I actually flipped. I wanted it to be facing the right, so I flipped the butterfly and I made sure to cut the shadow layer from the back of the gold mirror in order to get the flipped image. So included in that Layering Daisies set are all of the centers, and what's nice about it is that they're connected to one die. So you don't have to worry about losing all of these teeny tiny centers because they're all attached to one die. You can run them through with your gold or yellow cardstock and you get all of the centers cut in one go. So here I'm going to go ahead and glue down the frame, and then I will start arranging my card here. And I kind of envision this circle being towards the bottom, having the butterfly at the top of the circle, and then having these daisies clustered towards the bottom of the circle. And it ended up looking nice. It ended up looking like it did in my head. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing things down. Now, that Happy Mother's Day is raised up because there's so many layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue everything that's overlapping the circle with my art glitter glue, and then I will flip the whole thing around and add some foam tape to the overhanging petals and the butterfly's wings, just so that everything is level. So I just went ahead and attached 3 of the larger flowers, and I'm going to leave 2 to be, I guess, floating on the card panel as opposed to attached to the circle. So here I went ahead and added my foam tape. I spared you that because, as you can see, these are the tiniest bits of foam tape. So I'm just going to take off the last few pieces, and then I'll pop that over to the bottom right corner. I am going to add glue behind the circle just to make sure that that also sticks down. And I really like the way that that looks. You can definitely do white and yellow as opposed to gold, but I thought the gold would be really elegant. So here I also popped up those tiny flowers and I just stuck them onto the card panel. And I thought about using some gold gems, but the gold gems I have are very yellowy, and this gold mirror is more of a brown gold. So I have these Nuvo drops that match perfectly, so I went with Nuvo drops for this card. And I should have done that after I adhered it to the card base, but this whole panel is the size of my card base, which is 5¼ by 5¼ So I went ahead and added my ATG tape directly to the card base, added my panel on top, and then that will complete my first card. I really love how elegant this turned out, and that embossing in the background adds some really nice interest. All right, so included in the Layering Daisies set are a couple stems. So I want to give a few of my daisies some stemmed leaves. And there's one flower in that bunch that does not have a center included. It's actually supposed to be a daisy that's been so blown by the wind that it completely covers its center. So that was the first one that I did. The rest of these do have centers, and you might notice that a couple of these flowers are angled. So a couple of the centers are half circles because it's meant to be as if some of the petals are flowing upwards from the wind, if that makes sense. So they're definitely very whimsical daisies. I thought about doing outline daisies, but I just felt like a lot of companies kind of have their own variation of an outline daisy. And what I like about the layering daisies that you can't really do with the outline flowers is you can add dimension to them, which I did not do in today's video just because this next card I'm going to do is a pop-up and I didn't want it to be two-dimensional. But you definitely can layer these together. You can add dimension behind the petals. And these are sized really great for cards. I think it would be really cute to do like a field of daisies on a horizontal slimline card. I will definitely do that soon. So here are the elements for my A7 pop-up box, and I wanted to use this tile pattern that came in the die set. So I cut the tile from white cardstock and then the shadow layer from gold, and I just went ahead and layered them all together to decorate the outside of my box. And here I cut out 3 bridges from the die set. These are what hold all of your floating elements inside your pop-up. So I'm adding the double-sided tape to each tab. And I'm also going to now attach my decorative panels, and then I'll also add some double-sided tape to each tab of the card base. I'm going to add the rectangle panels to the bottom of the card base first, and then I'm going to assemble it and then add the square panels on the top flaps because I get a little bit confused because they fold down. Sometimes when I do it all flat, the pattern can be off. So I'm just going to do the rectangles first, add my double-sided tape. I am using some Uline strong double-sided tape. It's industrial strength. So I would highly recommend a strong tape here because that's really the only thing holding this box together. And to attach the 2 panels, you just take one side of the tab and attach it to the other panel with the side that doesn't have a tab, and then you can just attach the ends together. I'm going to go ahead and add my square panels to the top flaps now, so I am taping them all up with my ATG gun. And then start attaching these down. And I love that you can decorate this box without pattern paper. You can if you want, but isn't this just super elegant? I love the 2 colors. All right, so we are now attaching the bridges, and I always add my first bridge in butting the tabs against the back wall of the box, and then I kind of eyeball the other two. But I always start from back to front. That's been pretty easy for me. So as you can see, these circles are sized to fit on the front flap of this box, which I definitely would add one to the front flap, but because there's already so much going on with that tile pattern, I decided to add one of my circles to the center of my cart. And I did layer it up two times with heavyweight white cardstock, and then the third layer is gold. I don't want it to be too heavy where, my stick can't support it. So that's why I only went with 2 layers of white as opposed to 3. So I am going to first attach my butterflies. So I attach the small one to the front bridge, and then this larger butterfly, I'm actually going to glue it directly to the back wall. So here I'm just giving the butterfly its shadow layer. So the shadows I cut from gold mirror, and the actual outlines I cut from white. So both cards I created today are very monochromatic, which I don't normally do very often, but I was really feeling like I wanted to create something elegant today. And you would think looking at these daisies that they're definitely more cutesy and more whimsical, but they do also work well for elegant cards. So I am now going to start adding in my daisies. I will be moving some of these flowers around, so I'm using my 3-in-1 glue, which does not dry instantly. So, I can be working for several minutes and then come back to another flower that I stuck down earlier and remove it. So I would recommend this glue because once it is dry, it is super, super sticky. And your box will stay put. All of your floating elements, will not fall. And it's also great because I'm using acrylic sticks. So those little things I am using to pop up some of the flowers and have them float, they are attached to these clear sticks, or you can use clear packaging. You can use regular cardstock if you don't have any. Here's that little flower that doesn't have a center. I think that just looks so fun. But anyway, so what I do for my clear sticks, because I create so many pop-ups, is I buy the 12 by 12 sheets by Clear Scraps, and then I cut them down to 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch strips. Some of the elements like that circle in the center, I would need a thicker strip. And then like for the flowers, I would only need the 1/4 inch strip. And I would say by cutting down the 12 by 12 sheets, I can probably create at least 50 of these A7 pop-up boxes. And I think you get 12 to a pack. All right, so here you can see I want to move a couple of these flowers towards the front because as I was closing it, I realized that there was too much overhang and it wouldn't fit in an A7 envelope. So I decided to move the larger flower that I initially had at the front to the first bridge, and then I moved the smaller flowers from the first bridge to the front. And I like to glue my elements from the front. So you can see I'm adding my art glitter glue to the front of the stick, and I am gluing the stick to the back of the bridge. So I'm going to add, I think this is my last daisy. I'm adding it to a stick and then attaching it to that third bridge. And here you can see it folds perfectly. There's no overhang. So I'm going to stop there. I think that is pretty full. And I decided that I'm going to add a mechanism to the bottom of this box. Completely optional, but this is a really cool little die set. So I die cut both pieces. I punched out the little holes, and here I'm just reinforcing the score lines. So I'm going to start with the larger of the two pieces, and you can see that there's a slit at the bottom. I'm going to fold down the top panel first, and then I will fold up that slit panel next, and that's it. So I'll show that again. The top panel folds down first, and then the slit panel folds up. And then here you can see I am creating that slit at the top And you want that to be facing to the right towards the top. With this one's really easy. You just fold it in half and your slit is going to be to the top left. You just want them to be in opposite corners here. And in this larger piece, you can see that we created a pocket. Going to try to point it out, but you're going to place the smaller piece in that pocket. And then once that's in there, you can grab a elastic band and thread that band through each slit. And that's it. It's like held together with that rubber band. There's no gluing involved. Very, very simple. But to attach this to the bottom of the box, you do want to add some tape to the tabs. So you just saw that I folded them both in. I'm adding my very, very strong tape here. And then I'm going to take my box, and it's very important that you figure out which direction you want it to close. I want it specifically to close in this direction so that it fits in an envelope. So I'm actually folding this box closed to figure out which corners I need to attach these to. And all you do is attach each tab to the opposite corner, butting up the tab right up to the score line, and you have your mechanism. And what's fun about it is that once your recipient takes this card out of the envelope, it just pops right into place. It is a pop-up, so if you don't have that mechanism attached to the bottom, it will kind of pop up, but you have to use your hands to manually shape it. Whereas this just pops right into place. It's a nice little surprise for your recipient. So that is going to complete the second design. Let me know what you guys think of the new die sets that I showed in today's video. Tomorrow I have one card where I'm going to be featuring a new stamp and a new die. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you haven't yet already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I post day 3 of Sneak Week. All right, guys, bye.